Everyone, happy Friday. It's Amina. I wanted to come out here really quickly. I was actually just talking to Jules, and this is a conversation that I've had periodically with just different. I'll put you up here for a second. Different companies. Hey, mommy. Different companies, but also with stylists and salon owners and people who are in the beauty industry about products and formulas changing, right? A lot of times we think that companies just like change their formulas just because they feel like changing their formula, right? And that's typically not what has happened. What we don't realize is like there are particular companies that like supply specific ingredients, and sometimes what happens is that company stops supplying the ingredient, or they no longer have access to said ingredient. And so that actually kind of happened with me with my co-wash. So those who have been like following the my co-wash journey, and you may notice that it's a little bit different than what it was. Still performs the same, still acts the same, but there are some differences in the co-wash compared to how it was when I first got started. And part of that was because I had a manufacturer that I was working with. They lost touch with they no longer had access to one of the ingredients that my original formula was using. And so when I tell you that's common. So a lot of times when you're seeing companies change formulas, it's not just because they're like, oh, I want to change my formula. It's because of access to ingredients. And so it can be anything from a company stops selling an ingredient, a company no longer has access to said ingredient. Ingredients also evolve. And so like if they feel like they've come across a safer or better alternative, they'll change an ingredient. And so a lot of times that's what happens. And so in the case with me, when we started formulating and manufacturing our co-wash years ago, I had a company that was producing for me, and they stopped producing because they no longer had access to all of the ingredients that I needed and to make that product. Well, as I got into the industry, I became a formulator, I became a cosmetic chemist. I started to really understand my ingredient list for myself and not just relinquish all of the understanding and the control to the people that were making the product for me. So I went to school, became a certified formulator, and then also went back to school again to become a cosmetic chemist because I wanted to understand my ingredients. I wanted to understand my product. I wanted to understand how my product performed so that I could, one, understand it for myself, also manufacture it in-house if I needed to, but also understand how it was working in my business. It wasn't just about me having a product. It was about me also having a product and understanding how that product worked within my business. And so as I started to research, what I did was I really analyzed every single ingredient in my formula, and I broke down what it did. What was its purpose inside of this formulation? Hey, mommy, thank you. What was the purpose of the ingredient in this formulation? How was it going to perform? How was it going to work within this particular formulation to help me to best serve my clientele, and also so that we can work well behind at the bowl with our clients. And so we created a more up-to-date formula, and I hate to use the word cleaner because it's such a buzzword these days in the beauty industry, but they were more plant-based, I'll say. And so we tried to move away from some of these synthetic options that were on the market to move towards more of a plant-based option. And if there were ingredients where I couldn't do that, I tried to stay as close to a comparable natural alternative to that. And so what we redeveloped, what I feel like was like a better version of the co-wash in terms of like the rinsability, the performance. Because my main thing was like, did it perform the way I needed it to perform? And so that was the situation that I was in. And the thing is, that's the situation that a lot of product lines find themselves in, especially when they're manufacturing outside. But even when there's manufacturing inside on a small scale, when companies stop selling ingredients, it kind of leaves you in a bind. And so you have one of two options: change your formula or get rid of the line or the product that you've developed. And so it really was, again, important to me that I made sure that I understood the ingredients that I was using, but then also building community where I had access to just better ingredients and better suppliers, to not find myself in that situation as often, because it's going to happen. Trends change, things evolve, some things we don't have access to, and that's just the reality. Yeah, well, it does apply to that, because I think we actually were in a situation where, so this is my mom who's on here. You guys may not see her when you watch the replay, but I developed a product for my mother, and one of our main suppliers discontinued one of my main ingredients in her formula. So now I got to go find another supplier. And when I tell you that's so common, and I get it, it's like if things are not selling and things aren't moving, people have to make decisions that are best for their business. But in turn, it ends up affecting a lot of lines. So I just say that to say, like, be gracious with companies. Be understanding with companies that it's not always that, oh, they just changed their formula. Sometimes they had to. Sometimes they were not left with any choice. That's honestly what happened with my co-wash. I did not have a choice. I had to completely disconnect from my previous manufacturer, went to school, learned how to develop it myself, and put together a formula that I knew I was going to have access to the ingredients that I was going to need to ensure. Yes, and patient, gracious and patient. But I was going to have access to the ingredients that I needed to make my product. And so even now where I am, because we've gotten to the point in our company where I could physically no longer keep up with manufacturing our co-wash. And so we found an amazing Black-owned company that is a higher scale manufacturing plant that has the ability to produce product for me at a scale that I just was not able to keep up with by myself. I'm a wife, I'm a mother, I'm a business coach, I'm a salon owner, I'm a stylist in the salon that I work in. Hey, Kia. I'm an author. I also do speaking engagements for a lot of cosmetology schools. I'm on advisory boards for cosmetology schools. So I do all of that, and I'm a cosmetic chemist. And so it honestly just got to the point where trying to keep up with that on my own it just wasn't good. And it wasn't allowing me to serve you all properly. So I found a company who I really, really believed in, who understood the direction of my company, really, really worked hard to make sure that they produce something that I am so pleased with. We're all very, very pleased with. And so now we're at the point where we outgrew in-house manufacturing. Like, I just could not keep up with it. And so they've positioned me to be able to produce, honestly, in one run, the amount of product it would have taken me a year to try to do by myself, they did in one run for me. And so that allows me to make sure that I'm never running out of stock. I'm not running out of on-hand supplies for you guys. And so even with that, when I outsourced, I was very, very clear and communicated like what the expectation was, what my focus was, what I needed to make sure my product did. And so we got on the same page with that. So that's the other thing too, is like when you are getting into manufacturing deals, make sure that the company that is taking on your line is very, very clear about how you want your product to be produced, because you don't want to go into a situation where I was, where they have the information, they don't necessarily do exactly what you want, and then maybe they create a product that is 100% aligned with what it is you're trying to create. And so that was the thing for me, was making sure that I found a company that did that. And then because they're on a larger scale, they just had access to the ingredients that I needed on a larger scale than if I was trying to purchase those, by myself. So I just, again, wanted to just kind of come on here. Like I said, I was just talking to Jules about, there was a conditioner that I used to love when before I got licensed, and it got discontinued years ago. And it was crazy because it was such a good product. Well, now as a cosmetic chemist, I was actually able to look at the ingredient list and I immediately knew why it was discontinued, because half of those ingredients are not even accessible anymore. And that's the thing that happens as products evolve and companies evolve and insights evolve and even just access to ingredients evolve. Sometimes things kind of become obsolete, and so then they create better versions of ingredients to ensure that I guess they're just providing people with the best options possible. And so as those that are in the cosmetic chemistry field, like really study the industry, products just change. And what we thought were good ingredients, sometimes as you learn more, you learn like, oh, there's a better option, and even a safer option. We're learning now that some ingredients that have been used in a lot of our cosmetics weren't maybe the safest ingredient options. And so sometimes there's that part to it. So just as I was saying, just be gracious, be patient with companies, just understanding that it's just not always about them just choosing to just change a formula just for the sake of changing it. Sometimes it's really because of access to ingredients, and also sometimes it's because of cost, because some ingredients are really, really expensive, and if they find a more suitable alternative that's within their budget, that also attributes to changes. So I just thought I wanted to come on here and just share that with you all. I'm not sure, again, how many people knew that I was actually a cosmetic chemist and a product developer and formulator, but I am. And again, for me, it was important to make sure that I added that to what it is that I do within the beauty industry, to just have a better understanding about sort of the back end of the beauty industry where most of us live with, which is with products. Like most of, products are important to hairstylists. Products are important to cosmetologists. And so I wanted to know that part of the industry. So I'm going to get off here. My client just walked in. I have a color today. And I just wanted to just share that with you because I thought that was important to communicate that with you, because I don't know that I've ever heard anyone really say that. But hopefully it helps you guys to better understand why that happens, why formulas change, why products change. And again, it's not just about people just always wanting to just change the product. Sometimes, again, it's out of their hands and out of their control simply because of access to ingredients. So hope you all have a wonderful day. I'm going to get off here and I will talk to you guys soon.